happens to a living trust when the person dies? Let's have that conversation in this video. And we're going to talk specifically about how to not give anything to the state or the feds when you die at the end of the video. So let's jump in. So I'm going to talk about specifically three things. What is a living trust? Should you start one for yourself and your significant other and your children above 18? Those are very significant decisions. And then what happens when someone dies? What do you need in order to do that? To talk about wills and trusts and what happens when someone dies, I brought my partner, Scott Arden. We own a company called Generational Wealth Solutions, where we will help you get your trust number one, the wills, the pour-over wills, the durable powers of attorney, everything done. So Scott, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
So let's talk about just the differences. I hear this all the time with older clients and just clients that don't know. And because Susie Orman destroyed at the world thing, just have a will and you'll be happy, joy, joy. And she told all of PBS, which was completely wrong. You don't need just a will. You need a living trust. So talk about the differences, and then we'll talk about what happens when you don't have the trust and someone dies.
Absolutely, absolutely. So a will is a quasi estate planning vehicle. However, a will still go through the probate process. It will actually tie it up, anywhere between 1 to 2 years in that probate process. It also makes everything, your whole estate, a matter of public record. So, anybody looking who feels they may be entitled to a portion or a piece of your estate, it opens it up to, say, every Dick, Tom, and Harry who you might know, or it's a second cousin removed or what have you, are going to come out of the woodwork. So if you want to be able to create generational wealth, you absolutely have to have a living trust. A living trust is a comprehensive estate plan that is comprised of a lot of different components. One is your living will. That basically says, while I'm alive, these are the assets. This is kind of how I'm going to use them. But, should I become incapacitated, it actually designates who would be your conservator, someone who's going to be able to make decisions. Now, again, through just a standard will, there's none of that. So it leaves it in the hands of the courts to appoint someone who you've never met to be that conservator. So again, the most important piece is, like I said, a living trust. It's a living will, your pour-over will, a last will and testament. There's also your durable power of attorney for healthcare decisions. So what happens if you become incapacitated? Do you keep you on life support? Do you enforce the DNR orders? The next portion of that is power of attorney for your financial affairs, so who's going to be in charge of being able to take over the bank accounts and the investment accounts and take over the insurance on your primary residence. All of these things, it needs to be clearly defined, or again, you're leaving it in the hands of the courts. Next to that is the certificate of trust, right? And the abstract of trust. And those things actually need to be given directly to the financial institutions and the insurance companies. Because if you pass and you say, well, this is the person who's supposed to handle that, and those institutions don't have any record of it, well, sorry, it's going to freeze those accounts until it's determined by the court systems. So again, the living trust clearly defines everything of how you want to live, how you want to pass, and how you want to allocate those assets to your beneficiaries.
So Scott, I want to go back to that first, though, stab that I made about just a will. What if someone has a will? Like I talked to somebody the other day from the Midwest who has millions of dollars, and he thinks he's fine because he has a will. Clearly, he's going to go to probate. But like, what kind of hooked everybody, hook, line, and sinker, that a will was enough? I mean, just speak to that not being enough and what that actually is, independent of anything else. Right, because you can go online through LegalZoom and those .coms, and you can order a little packet for a will. What are they going to get there, and what does it not do? Just to read.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, it's really just two sets of documents that you're going to get: is your living will and your last will and testament. Again, it says, these are my assets. This is who I want to bequeath those assets to. And then your last will and testament is how those assets are to be allocated. At certain ages or what have you, the diamond ring is going to go here. However, it it doesn't have all of the components that, like I said, that a living trust do. So, the will is a very simple process. Yes, it's only going to cost maybe a couple $100, but, if you look at your overall estate and your estate is, a $500,000, $1 million plus, are you really going to spend $300 to $400 to make sure that your $1 million estate is going to go to your beneficiaries? Absolutely not, because again, it's simply paper thin, right? That's the problem with the will. But again, the selling point on it was it's just super simple. It will buy, no, absolutely not.
So let's talk about the probate court, because it's in every country. And by the way, if you're listening, because I know this is an international YouTube channel, these same rules, even though we use US terms, it applies. It applies. And let's just talk about probate court. So without a living trust, right, your state gets everything. I love, like, not scaring people, but waking people up, saying, really, you're going to do all this work. I don't care if you're only worth 50,000 at the end or 100,000 at the end. You're going to let it all go to probate and let somebody, some government body that you have no control or idea who the heck they are, going to run your life. So let's make this a really strong, like an, oh my God, I need one today. And they're going to pick up the phone. At the end of our YouTube channel, I'm going to tell you how to fill out an application to get a private meeting with Scott. That'll happen at the end. So stay tuned, because we have a lot more to share with you. But let's dig into what's probate court and how rough it gets out there.
Yes. So what happens when a person passes is the hospital or whomever basically declared death. They deliver the information to the court systems. And so what happens is they open the probate cases, again, basically saying they died intestate, there's no will or trust in place. So now what we're going to do is it's up to the court to determine who is going to be this individual's conservator or trustee to manage the affairs upon their passing. The problem with that is that as it goes through the probate, that's where you get hit with the federal estate taxes, you get hit with the state estate taxes or probate taxes, and then you've also got the probate attorneys that are going to come in and they're going to take their 5 to 7%. So the problem with that is, again, if you want 100% of the value to go to the estate, you have to bypass probate, because probate will result in a reduction of the total value of the estate by almost 50 to 55% of the value. So again, you really just want your beneficiaries to get small little assets or have to pay a ton in taxes? Absolutely not. That's the problem with probate. What happens is it basically can take anywhere between 1 to 2 years to settle in most cases. We've seen instances where there was a 34-year probate, which can cause a lot of issues within the family.
I want to go at 34 years to settle one estate is the stuff we've seen.
Right. And the problem with the 34 years is all of the assets, all of the money are completely frozen, meaning nobody can do anything with the assets or the cash until the court makes the decision how the assets are going to be allocated. Correct. So yeah, it can become very messy, very costly, and it can actually create your family a lot of turmoil in the long run.
So to get started, right, who should have one? So like my son's 22, we're going to get him one because he's starting to acquire, and we do very early generational wealth. For those of you that are listening, I have a book coming out on how to make your kids millionaires. And I talk about the surprise basket. So many families don't have these conversations. And I call it surprise basket because no one talks about anything about who's going to get what until they pass. And now somebody's sitting around a table with a lawyer or some executor, and they get to declare the surprise basket. And typically families go to war. And do you know what the statistic is? I heard it was like 2.8 max. I mean, that's like the maximum generations that most people's estate live on, because of the surprise basket technique, which means no one knows what's going on. No one has access, or they don't know they have access. Now, all of a sudden in the very busy life that they have, they're burdened with what you just handed them. Versus what we're going to teach you is pass it on, bring it in very early and have it set. So when you go, it's just business as usual for the family, and they know how to handle that kind of wealth. So in that, back to my question, who should get one? Like, is Logan, I'll use Logan as an example. Is he too young at 22? Who should have him? When should they get him?
Well, as a matter of fact, my son, 23, is going to be 24 this year. But he's also, I'm a grandfather, you know? So is it too early to create a trust? Absolutely not. Any person who has assets, wants to build a successful business, and wants to create generational wealth needs to have a trust put in place. It goes back to that old saying of, you know, no one's promised tomorrow. And so we can't go back in time. You can't, you know, if you do get ill or you become incapacitated, there's no way of forming a trust at that point and going back and saying, hey, this was put in place prior to. So it's absolutely imperative that if you have beneficiaries, you want to create generational wealth and basically, you know, ensure that your family is not going to feud. You need to have a living trust in place. And again, age is not, you know, the earlier the better. Let's just say that, because your estate is going to grow over time, and you want that exit strategy, if you will, employed. And also it comes down to the financial literacy of those beneficiaries, right? Knowing how to deal with the big gift basket.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully they get it over time.
So before I go into the final, like what happens when you die, and there's only one way to get generational wealth with Scott, I want you to subscribe to the channel. I'm here 5 days a week. I want you to click the notification button, share it with your family and friends, especially in this category. You're going to have to pick durable powers of attorney. You've got durable powers of attorney in health and medical. You've got like some big decisions to make. This is serious stuff. You want your friends and family, the people that are going to like receive this legacy, they need to be on this channel too. So share it, comments, subscribe. This is really, I actually put this up the top like 5 things that you need to learn about money. So let's stay connected. And for those of you that are serious about learning this, and not only learning it, putting it in your life, click on the link below. It's going to take you to a financial personality quiz. You're going to take the quiz. It takes about 30 seconds. That way I get to know who you are and where your issues are. I'm going to send you back a video what to do about it. In addition, I'm going to give you an application to work with our team. Specifically, this application is going to go to Scott, gentleman that has interviewed my partner, and he'll give you a very private one-on-one conversation about a will, living trust, and what you need to be doing next. So click on the link. Let's begin. I'll talk to you tomorrow.